Warning, this video may not be suitable for all viewers. This content is aimed toward adults who are not easily triggered over harmless fiction, and know how to separate harmless fiction from reality. We are not responsible for you getting triggered. You have been warned. Ada, ada.
Hey, what's up everyone? It is I, the Video Game Hunter, and welcome to another Japanese import pickup video. Well, today, I am going to show you guys what I imported for Japan recently. And I ended up using two different services to allow me to order some items from. Now, the reason why I ended up using two different services to pick up my items is because that, Buyee, which is actually the service I prefer using to buy my stuff from certain websites, they don't just allow you to buy from anywhere. The website has to be like partner up with Buyee, and the items you want has to be go along with Buyee's policy. Now, sometimes the items is actually against Buyee's policy, but once they realize what item it is, once it shows up at the warehouse, they have to complete the transaction because the deal already has been made. So that being said, the other service I ended up using was Japan Rabbit. They are a bit more open what you can order. Just the only downside with Japan Rabbit, I believe this service are actually a bit more expensive, and plus, their website's layout is not as well done as Buyee is, so it's basically like pick your poison. Will you either go with Buyee, which they actually have a policy against items that you're not allowed to order unless it sneaks through the cracks, or will you go with the website that allows you basically order from anywhere, but it costs a bit more? Like I said, pick your poison. So, that being said, let me show you guys what I picked up or imported from Japan. So the first batch of items that I'm going to be showing you guys are stuff that I bought from Surugaya by using the Japan Rabbit service. So to start things off, I'm going to show you guys some doujinshis that I bought. Now for those who don't know what a doujinshi is, it's basically self-published items like books, manga, or even video games. And a lot of times, these items are based off of other people's works. It's not 100% legal to do this in Japan, but the IP owners usually don't go after you since they basically see this as free advertisements. So that being said, let me show you guys some fine examples of these items that I picked up. Black Lagoon, and the first book that I'm going to show you guys is called I Can't Use My Hands. The story is about Revi, who injured both of her hands, and no, they don't tell you how she did it. And it's up to Rock to take care of her by making sure her room is bug-free, Revi is fed, clean, and she gets a happy ending service. Did I forget to mention that these doujinshis are made for adults? If so, I got plenty more of these naughty items later in this video. My next book is another Black Lagoon doujinshi called Fetish Lagoon. Now this book goes pretty much straight forward with the action, but a page before that happens, Revi gets pretty fed up with Rock wearing the same white t-shirts and demands him to wear that Hawaiian shirt that she bought for him in episode 2 of the show. Next thing we know, Rock is now wearing a Hawaiian shirt, and for whatever odd reason, Revi forced him to take off his pants, while also laughing at him for still wearing underwear at his age. Then suddenly, Revi feet gets involved, and then they bang. I don't really care for the feet parts of this book, but the rest of it is pretty nice. Especially how the book ends with Benny getting a bullet in his ass by Revi for trying to get involved with the action. Like, really dude? you should know by now that Revy only has eyes for rock, not you. So the next two books that I'm gonna show you guys are furry books, but one of them I can't really talk about or really show you guys what's inside because there's not much of a story and it's graphic all the way through. The book is called Kimosakusai Archive and it's by Shirakoma. The last and final doujinshi we are going to be looking at is called I'm Sorry, Not Yet. This story is about a wizard who uses his dark magic to summon a furry succubus to get his rocks off. But little did he know, the succubus he summoned has no experience with this type of pleasure that he is requesting. So it's up to the wizard to teach her a lesson or two. The book really has some nice art and I actually do recommend it. So finally, I'm gonna show you guys some games that I picked up from Surugaya. And I picked up 2 games from the store. The first one we are gonna look at is Vision, a self-published game for the Japanese computer PC-98. Vision is a very short visual novel eroge, and it's about a high schooler who basically just wants to score. So if you make the right choices, you will eventually meet up with a girl named Elissa from your class. Play your cards right with her, and maybe you might get one of the 2 good endings. Or be a creep and ruin your high school experience forever. So we are now down to our last item from Surugaya, and I found another eroge fighting game that plays a lot like my other fighting game for the PC-98, Variable Geo. And this game is called Valkyrie. I believe this game is actually might be superior than Variable Geo, because the gameplay is actually faster, which makes the characters not as floaty. However, the computer tends to block a lot, which has resulted me to win a lot of time-up wins. Another advantage this game has over Variable Geo is that it actually has a story mode. Now, currently, I don't know what the story is about, but every time I win a match, I see some very nice loot art of my defeated opponent. I actually really do recommend checking this game out. Alright, it's time to show off the next batch of games. And this is what I ordered from Japan's Yahoo Auctions and Mercari by using Buyee's service. So the first item that I'm going to be showing you guys is not a video game, but it is video game related. A acrylic stand of Hikage from the Senran Kagura series. Senran Kagura is one of my most favorite fan service games that really surprised me on how much fun that these games really are. And my all-time favorite character out of the whole series is Hikage. Now the downside of her as being my favorite character is that it is a real struggle to find some decent merchandise of her. Which I also had the same issue as Revy from Black Lagoon, which is why I bought those 2 doujinshis early on this video. So that being said, this acrylic stand of Hikage I thought was pretty decent. It is a bit much than what I wanted to spend, but it is nice to finally have some decent merchandise of her in my game collection. So the first game I'm going to show you guys is actually a WonderSwan game. Now for those who don't know what a WonderSwan is, it is a handheld by Bandai that's exclusive to Japan only. Think of this system like the Game Boy because that's pretty much what it is. So that being said, the game I end up picking up is Clock Tower. Now, there is a chance you guys might have heard of this game because this game is considered a cult classic point-and-click survival horror game for the Super Famicom, and there's also an updated version for the PlayStation known as First Fear. Both of these versions are exclusive to Japan only. So the game is not like your typical survival horror game like Resident Evil or Silent Hill. In this game, you basically have no way to defend yourself, and your only option is to find a place to run and hide. As much as I love the clock tower, I would say that the WonderSwan version is no good. Not only is the game slow, I also cannot make out any of the pictures that the game is trying to show me. This game was not made for the handheld, and I recommend just sticking with the Super Famicom and the PlayStation version. The next game is a PC-98 computer game called Slayers. This game is an adaptation of the classic anime series, where in this game, it is a turn-based RPG where you can only control as Lena. The rest of the characters in your party are controlled by AI. Think of this game kinda like the classic Persona 3 game on the PS2. I can't say much what this game is about because it has lots of Japanese text, what is to be expected since it is a RPG that is exclusive to the Japanese region. I mostly just bought this game just to add it to my collection because I'm somewhat consider myself as a Slayers fan. So the next game I'm going to show you guys is another PC-98 game, and it's actually a sequel to a visual novel game that I showed you guys early on this video, called Vision 2. Now, unlike the first game where you can go through the entire game many times until you get the best ending in less than 10 minutes, this time around the story is a lot longer. But the good news is, they did add a save feature. The game is obviously a continuation from the last game, and I believe this game starts your character off starting a new school year, and your new girlfriend from the previous game is now in a separate classroom from you. Usually this is really not an issue, but your childhood friend who moved away re-enters the picture and is now in the same classroom as you. And just like your typical anime trope, your girlfriend gets jealous, and depending on your outcome of your choices, will result of which girl you may end up with. Now, I'm not too far in the game, but based on what little research I could find on this game, there is no graphic scenes in this game. A bit odd since the first game definitely has some dirty scenes, but it won't be the first eroge series where the creator decided to take the series in a different route. So now we are down to my last game, and I did not save this one for last because it's my favorite pickup. No, this one may be the most controversial game in this video. Especially it's in the fourth game of its series, where the first game got such a negative reaction outside of Japan, Illusion, the developers of the game, refused to do business with anyone outside of Japan for like a decade and a half. Which didn't really matter, because their games was Japan only anyway. But it was because of this negative reaction was the sole reason why I even heard about them in the first place. And because of that, I want their games to be in my collection.
Sexual violence, sexual torture.
Did you feel offended as a woman?
No, not at all.
So enough holding guys up, my last game I'm going to show you guys is called Play Club. Now, I currently don't have a CD drive right now because I just bought a new computer, but I managed to get this game running on my computer by selling the high seas. So to sum up this game, it's really no different from the previous games, except for the story and where this game takes place. Now, if you want to know the story, well, basically, you got a job offer, and you were told to meet up with this person at this very shady mansion. Once you arrive, you were informed right away by this old man on what job he has in mind for you. Basically, what he wants you to do is to sexually assault this lady and her 3 daughters. While you are doing that, this old man will be watching you while you're committing this act. In case you don't know already, yes, he does get off to these kinds of things. And there you have it, folks. That was my Japanese import goods. And hopefully, some of the items I showed off, hopefully just one caught your eye that makes you want to get one yourself. Except for maybe the last game that I showed off, which I don't blame you. That game is pretty out there, and I'm sure a lot of people are not comfortable having this game in the collection or even looking at stuff like this. But for me, it's a different story because I love controversial games and I love having them in my collection for history purpose. So, that being said, thank you so much everyone for watching. This is the Video Game Hunter, and until next time, goodbye.